Hey everyone, and welcome to another Siege and Sandfox live stream. I'm the designer of the project, Chris Wilson. Yeah, that's my name. And also joining me is our producer, Aidan Howe.
That's my name.
That's my ill name. I remember names. So firstly, just to apologise. Yeah, I was actually quite unwell last week, so no one wanted to hear me coughing for 40 minutes on a stream. But I'm back, and we've actually done we've actually taken the build out. I took it to my university, and so I guess we can just move straight over to the old packaged build. So that's the first thing to mention, that we actually got it all packaged up right. It was mostly packaging, but there was a time when it was not right.
Yeah. there was, and then it was, and then it wasn't again. That period was brief.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. We were lucky to get a build at all, Chris.
Oh,
we
I know. I always.
We were lucky in some respects. It cut it very fine getting all of this done, but as we'll see, things didn't go out perfect.
No.
But we did manage to get a lot packed into it for the amount of work we had to do in a short space of time.
Yeah, we had our the visibility thing became on by default, and for a first pass, it behaves itself. Excuse me. So this stuff, yeah, it's all the same. Though there's this thing I've known about for a while, but obviously it's never been critical. But we've got to stop this working somehow. It's not cool, man. Can't do that.
You're gonna have to tell me what.
It?
Nope.
Being able to do the jump into that and then grab that from there.
Oh wait, hang on. It's fine. I'd maximized the wrong stream. I was watching you delayed. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
This,
yeah.
This. Oh wait. Anyway,
the one, the naughty one where you can run jump it underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw that, it was like the second playthrough video. I thought, well done.
Yes.
We never would have found that because we just wouldn't do that because it's naughty. But you don't know it's naughty, so
and also,
that's why you got to get these people to play them.
At some point, this stopped working, so the same one reactivates, and I saw a couple of people. I mean, again, I don't think it's unfair of them to try it. They were like, this does something. What's happening? And I'm like, shouldn't do something, but minor.
And we haven't had an explicit thing that explains this dude on the screen when it's moving around. It's doing saving. Don't punch your console or unplug it when it's doing this because it's
we all do that. Bad. So the ghost is still there, still the same. And this first bit we'd locked this down relatively early. There's some stuff I'll notice. I'll refer to when I'll show you some of the playtest videos, but. Mostly behaved. This works, but we knew it was kind of too slow. We didn't want to mess with it. And the thing I remember saying about this seeming, it is obviously really dark. A lot of people did bump into it. I admittedly don't have a solution, but I did notice that obviously it was quite dark before, and now our first pass the visibility thing makes it super dark. So
the other thing with that is the guide to tell you to climb back up
amazing.
Comes up at a time when you'll intersect and get bugged. But also, even if that were fixed, then it wouldn't let you climb up, so it would still be too early. So something needs to be done about that.
I noticed more than one person tried to use this, which I also kind of think is fair enough.
It does look a bit too cool.
It does, which is actually good because we've discussed maybe turning these into functional objects. So maybe if we make this one look a bit broken, then there can be a cool working version. So actually, it would be nice if people looked at it and went, that looks like a thing. Okay, let's just keep going. So I said nothing too exciting here. Something else I did note that this visibility thing has done. There's a few situations like this, but this is the first one. Because of the nature of this now, because you come up onto this, you actually, if you're running, you don't get a lot of time to notice this is here. So actually, we probably, obviously it needs a bit of design work, but in general, it probably needs to be flipped so you come down onto it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will be like, again, it's fair enough, they see it.
It could be made longer. There could be. We're going to have to be wary of things that go up like that very short, or at least early on in the game until you learn to.
Yeah.
And another thing is, right now that really is denying you information about upcoming platforms quite heavily. How black it gets there, you can see it quite to the right there, up that slope. It's really difficult to tell when you're at the bottom of that slope what is ahead. You're right, and that's just wrong. Like, it should be. Should it be denying that? I don't think. It's an interesting question. Should it be doing that?
The only thing I'd say is this one is intentional. This is always what I wanted, right? It's like you don't see. It's not quite right, but the general idea, if you don't see this until you're on top of it, is, you know, fairly designed because it's a nice reveal. This one definitely isn't. It's like, oh, suddenly there's a jump. So it just needs, you know, some refinement, which is obviously why we wanted to get this effect in so we could see how that stuff started to look. But other than that, I mean, all this stuff pretty much behaves. Oops. Oh, I think my controller battery is low. That's really annoying. I might have to use to the keyboard controls work. They do sort of work. That's fine.
Nobody knows what Y is, though.
Nobody knows what Y is.
Well, when I say nobody knows what Y is, I don't.
You don't know what Y is. That's amazing.
No, I know what Y is on a controller. It's Y. But
you're right. It is. That's all right. I checked him just yesterday. Flipping batteries, I believe.
Have you not got a cable?
No.
It's the future. It
is the future. This never happens. What are you talking about? I can just kill this for now. Do I have some? I reckon I do. The problem is they last for so long. You stop thinking about it until you need them. It's a great design, and I normally have some spares, but I don't. So I tell you what I'm going to do. Actually, I might just see if I can find my video of stuff. Just a second. Slightly earlier than planned. Is this it? Or is this it? So many videos. Yeah, this is the one. So apologies, slightly not as planned. I will go and grab some batteries in a second. So before I play this, I should just mention this handy thing here is amazing. This is just a site called Gamepad Viewer. And it's just been so useful for us to take it out playtesting and actually see what people are pressing, which sounds obvious, but obviously when we're there, you can either stare at their hands or stare at them, stare at the screen, and really want to see both. So this video is an amazing highlights reel of stupid stuff we collectively got wrong. So it's a joy. I can talk about it. The first one is forgot to turn the player around, so everyone goes this way first, which is a shame. Not a huge shame, but it's kind of funny.
Every time, though.
Yeah, every time.
I think we've sent more builds out with that than without it. It's one of the more common commit messages, at least putting the player character back where it should be, or turning it around.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they should be spawned from an object, but we never get around to doing it. And this was the other one we mentioned, where if you stand up too early. If you climb up too early, rather, you get stuck in this rock. It's great. But again, easily fixed. We changed the prompt so it doesn't tell you to do it at the worst possible time. And
for our first shimmy in the game in terms of testing the code, using an odd shape, because that would be almost guaranteed to be fine in something regularly shaped in the more, palacey, prisony sort of tile sets. But there's a nice, oddly shaped thing. And it made a bug happen, and we didn't fix it.
I don't know, artists.
But it's a good one.
Yeah. This one, I actually still don't know what this is about. Did you see this? This seemed to happen to a lot of people.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And this is my favourite extreme version of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I encountered that one a few times testing the build.
So this was a fun thing. So I should point out, we knew the feedback for our switches and stuff just wasn't there. But one tester in particular was just determined, so this is obviously massively sped up. He really wanted that switch to do a thing. But it had already done it, but it really doesn't look like it had, which we did sort of know would be a problem. And this one, so they're all the same, but it's good because the fix for one will be the fix for all of them. They they don't give good feedback. In fact, they kind of accidentally give pretty bad feedback, particularly like it's spinning forever. Like if I didn't know this game, I'd be thinking it was still doing a thing. This is nothing particularly wrong with that. It just made me chuckle. This is funny because this is the sort of the thing where I wanted people to bounce off and, without kind of realizing, end up going towards the door. And actually, for most people, they did. They did exactly what I wanted. And I think what we would do is just add a little prompt to the door that, when you use it, it goes, "This is open elsewhere," or something shorter than that, just to really sell it. But that worked great, except, of course, I think it's the next clip. Oh, this guy does go for all the options. Someone else, come on. Yeah, who unfortunately, was perfectly legit, does this. And I'm like, oh, damn it. And other things as well that, this is another good one. Like, anytime people see ramps, they're always going up those ramps.
It's not just that. It's like cats and boxes. Some people, they see a little corner of a room like that and they've got to snuggle up into it just to be sure. And some people don't care. But it's a very, very common behavior whenever we do this stuff. And that was one of the more interesting things, having a reasonable sample size, is that it was almost the majority, did that to some degree. It was certainly the outliers, and generally the people who were more who picked the game up quicker tended to not do that. And the people, well, it was extremes of the bell curve, wasn't it? There was.
I've just noticed the chat. Physico said that was me. Oh, really? Well,
cool.
You are now internet famous. So that was you. Yeah, it was. It's interesting. And again, like this, the point. I mean, I remember saying it vividly when everyone was testing it. It's like they can't do anything wrong, and they couldn't, because I said I look at that switch feedback and I look at those gaps, and I'm like, well, yeah, I see why you did that. I see what's telling you to do that. So it's fine. Likewise, this is another fun one that a lot of people did. I
love this one.
But again, like I get it, right? It's like that you've just done these two things in a row, and you just press it again, and then you don't know, because we've never told you that you can cancel it. So yeah, you kind of pressing the button that's under your thumb is not that ridiculous. Same here as well. And this is another. Yeah, this is actually. I think Rex has already fixed this, but you can see like the
A was definitely pressed,
easily pressed, and it's just like nope,
not today.
That's it. So I'm go around again quickly, but that's that really sucked.
So is this? Are we looping now?
Yeah. I did want to. There's something else I think I wanted to mention, but go on.
So we should probably go through these and say what the solutions are. This one's pretty simple. It's just code and markup, and using these things properly, because this was all very early Shimmy, the first iteration of Shimmy. So actually, we probably don't fix this bug like we would have done a week ago, getting ready for this. Probably this is looking for an iteration over Shimmy. That one's weird. What's the input on this? What are people pressing when they do that? Because that's what's interesting about this to me, because I saw virtually everyone did it, and I've never done it. And I think it's just because...
Do you remember how you go through a single frame in VLC? I have to look it up every time. I'm going to look it up now.
Fine, just run it. I've got the eyes.
You've got the eyes. I found it.
Got at least one eye.
This is the thing. So he's pressed B.
Yeah. Down. Yeah. This is all fine.
Come on.
I can hear you individually nudging those frames, Chris.
This is game development. So now there's no input, nothing. And now there's some left input. And now it's the trigger's down. Was the trigger always down?
Oh, I think that might be it.
Because there's no other button input.
So that was, those were the two insights that we got into. Okay, that was pressing A before the hand was fully extended. And maybe holding the trigger has something to do with it. We learned this, is that there are two things that feel pretty good early on that we do a lot of. And that's, hey, hold down the trigger and run, and it feels really good. And, oh, by the way, A, jumping. It's just the answer to all of your problems right now. So when we encounter problems that are related to people holding the trigger all the time and to jumping just because something unexpected happened, kind of our fault. This one we have to move this, don't we? Really?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff. So this is quite a good one to get into. So let's There's a lot. There's a lot of things going on here. So one, this prompt isn't contextual. It should be. So you should only be able to see that when you are able to use it. As in, if you press X, it should activate it. Nothing else should happen. And also, it should only obviously activate once in a much more positive manner, and then stop animating, because it keeps moving forever, and then that prompt should disappear, and that actually solves, let's say, about half the problem, because then I'm fairly confident that most people would understand that it is done. The purpose of this thing has ended, which at the moment it doesn't. Nothing about that says that it's done. It says to me that you haven't done it at all.
Yeah, we need the that telegraphing to be correct. We probably need it to be able to play forwards and backwards depending on which way the switch has been thrown, and we need for it to wait for a completion message to stop. This is something I thought when the double barrel lifts finally went in properly, and I flicked the switch, and I thought, yeah, I know this switch isn't going to stop when this is done. I kind of want this thing to keep spinning so that people know when it's done.
So there's all of that, and then the other part is, so again, this is fair enough. It is hilarious. It's completely fair enough. The other thing is that this isn't clear that this opens. Like, it's not that clear even without the the occlusion stuff, but with it, it's, unless you're looking kind of near it, you're probably not going to notice it. And I don't think anyone actively noticed it. I think they just gave up being up there and realized that it was open. So that needs to be much more visible, and there's a bunch of ways to do that. I need to have a think about it.
I think there's probably a pretty slick 1-inch punch for that, in that once we have a reliable configuration of the visibility system, that's you could probably position the edge, because you don't need that left portion with the rocky part melding into the platform. You don't really need it. So I would cut the floor out, and you could cut the floor out in such a way that it just casts a perfect shaft onto that grate when you're stood in the position. So
there's definitely stuff like that, or just for sake of discussing other options, or maybe it makes a noise and some sound rings come off it, or again, just to explore options, thinking out loud here, or you have something where, like, for no reason, as in like no gameplay reason, but it punches a hole in the occlusion here, so you can see it happen. That kind of thing. Silence computer. There's always one tab you haven't muted.
What if sound rings? This is I've got an interesting controversial solution to the sound ring problem. What if they were much more subtle than? I mean, they're not on at the moment. But what if they just punched holes in the occlusion thing?
I mean, maybe.
That's the only place where they're important to you, other than the extent of them on your own noises. Well, anyway, something for another discussion.
So Ed is reminding me that the rock was to prevent lemming suicide. Not that rock, the other rock.
Oh, that rock.
Yes. Yeah, it needs a little rethink, because the thing is, I obviously only included the ones that were most hilarious. But everyone seemed quite interested in that rock more than it was necessary to be. So
we should let them die.
Well, not necessarily, but it requires some more thought. Everyone liked it.
I think that the switch there is as good as a rock for stopping the player lemminging off there. When it's just a platform with no switch, you run and jump. But when there's a switch, you switch it. And then if you run and jump off there, I think you get everything you deserve.
See, this one I found fun as well, because you can see it, right? I get what this person is doing. They're like, okay, well, I think I've done this. But again, it just turns forever. And there's no prompt, so it's not even consistent. And they're like, okay, but nothing's happening. Maybe if I stay near it, something happens. And is there anything down here? No. Okay, well...
I mean, this again is a very similar solution in that we have the systemic stuff around switches that when it's in, and just like you were saying, all doors are making noises, which isn't necessarily anything to do with switches, but they'll cause that to happen. All of the states of the thing that the switch is activating when it's finished is communicated back to that.
Oh, and of course, the other thing...
And we'll get all of that for free.
I should mention with this next bit, after this thing, is I think somewhere it got lost along the way. Obviously, there was a point of interest saying that the camera moved a bit down towards it when you flicked it, which helped. It was, again, it's all part of the package, but that disappeared because I noticed that this was all like, I'm actually really surprised that most people quite naturally went down here, because obviously, it looks kind of interesting, but the point of interesting was really screwed up. It was like basically repelling them away. But people were like, I'm going to go down there anyway. Like, I don't think I kept that, but yeah, in the videos. But yeah, it was, the camera was pushing completely the opposite direction. Like, it's pushing, it nearly pushed them off the screen, basically, which was not supposed to happen. With this, it's probably fine.
This one is probably fine. I agree. You can't do anything about people who want to do that.
No.
In a way, you almost have to be happy about people who want to do that because they've learned the stuff that you already taught them.
Exactly.
They're not going into that other corner, so you just, again, it's a, like I said, you get all of the systemic stuff with regards to switches and doors, and just passing over those again will solve a lot of the stuff with those. And then solving that in situ is just making sure you can see the portcullis from the switch. Like, it's already elegant enough that a lot of people are going to bounce off that portcullis, see the switch, and go, I get it. But you need to be able to see that portcullis from the switch, otherwise we're going to have problems. But yeah, small fix, that one.
Yeah, and this, I should point out, is what exactly was going on here. The poor person was trying forever to do that jump completely legitimately, but there was something up with it, wasn't there? Like, I don't know what it was, but
it's a testament to how close we get to these things, that it was more than one person, when I watched through the recordings of these, were struggling a lot with that jump. And I think in playtesting, I found it a bit flaky, but I failed about twice and managed to land it after that. And going back to it and trying it again, like, it is genuinely very hard to get that jump right. But just when you play it all the time,
yeah,
you get a technique for nailing it. But that one was just, how did I do it?
Yeah, this thing. This is why it's useful to have the playtesting, and also the thing I always keep in mind is, if there's anything in this game ever that I can't do first time, I'm like, well, it's probably way too hard.
Ludicrously hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. So this thing as well, I should talk about this a little bit. So actually, with this one, as I was saying to you before the stream, like, sorry, I just saw Physico said that ledge made me want to cry. That's what we're looking for, developing video games, to make people cry, because that's where true meaning is derived.
Make a very small group of people cry, in order that we don't make quite so many people cry quite so often. So your sacrifice is important.
So I should point out here. So sorry, as I was saying off stream, we don't want to make too many drastic changes to levels, because obviously I want to see if some of the base controller fixes work. So here's an example where, okay, longer term, we probably want to, spend more time drilling into people. Hey, don't press A in these situations. Like, either be patient or press B to cancel. However, in the short term, because I don't think it's too destructive, and I don't think they haven't learned anything bad, they just haven't learned the thing we'd rather they did. I feel like here, actually, we can probably just dig into this a bit, so they can't do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. As if we just recess that in, then that can't happen.
And then
and it reinforces that you have to jump up to it.
Yeah.
So,
and then in the future, we've discussed it. We know that we need to tell people, because we never do, that, hey, you can cancel this, and also you can just slide down a wall forever. Like,
that was the really valuable thing that I learned from watching this, is that we don't ever teach that you can just cancel out of the wall state by pressing, and nobody ever does it. And we do it all the time, because it's for things like that, because it's really useful. And how do you teach it? How do you force someone just to drop?
I started trying to figure it out, and then this happened, and then I ran out of time. How was I going to do it? I think it would have to be, it's one where you have to factor in time, don't you? You have to make it so that you need to drop faster. It's quite hard, but we need to find a way, because it's valuable, and only when you see stuff like this do you realize quite how valuable it is.
Boop. No. No. Not for you.
Right, I tell you what. Just talk for like a minute, and I'll be right back with some AA batteries, because I can't find a way around this problem. Very professional. I'll be back shortly.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem. You can talk. You do it for ages.
I know. I'm talented in the region of talking. Are there any questions? Sit and wait for the delay on that one. That'll fill 20 seconds of dead air, particularly if I leave big gaps between what I'm saying. What's the video doing? Yeah, we said everything interesting. This bug. Did I want to add anything to this? No. Covered that. Switches, adding sound rings to indicate that something's happened below, points of interest to pull the player's attention to it. But I think probably the anti-lemming rock was a bridge too far. Oh, Chris is back, thank God.
But you can normally, happily talk for hours.
Yeah.
I'm only messing. I'm sorry to do that. It's typical.
It's fine.
Stop streaming for 1 week.
Could have said, "Hey, perform a cappella for these people here." So at least you told me to talk.
Just a straight up jam session. Okay, that's back. Okay, so Ed said, "I hear no pressure. I think one tile recess, invisibility occlusion will help with a lot of issues." Were you just talking about that? I apologize if you were.
Oh no, we weren't. But it is true. I think we should find a recessed anchor point that's configurable for that. Because one tile possibly is too far. I think going in half a tile, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, is it configurable in that manner? I don't know how it would decide. I guess, yeah, it could be. It could just be offset, I believe, from my very basic understanding of how it actually works.
I've spoken to Ben about it before.
Right.
Yeah, and the way it's configured right now almost fakes what you would want that to do and how you'd want it to behave. So on the when you look at how it stop.
I'm stopping.
So if you look at that floor there, you see how it fades to black quite naturally around the edges. That's sort of I suppose that's the one tile anchor point there, is so that it kind of matches where those fades take place naturally, which it's sort of the fade off that's configured is sort of faking that.
Sorry, you're talking about like here, this bit?
I can't see your cursor.
Can you not? Oh, how strange.
No, am I watching the wrong one again? No.
I don't know.
No, I'm not. I can't see it on.
Oh well, never mind.
Discord. Never mind. Yeah, but anyway, recessing it a bit is going to do a better job of what's being faked there, because there was Keith did change the effect shortly before it went in, because it was very, very obviously too anchored to those harsh corners there.
Right.
And this hides that better, but I think we can hide it even better by recessing it. But yeah, I think it needs to be configurable, because I know they're going to want to tweak it. So
yeah, I should point out as well something I thought was cool, that more than one person mentioned that they'd spotted places that they obviously couldn't get to, but I'd seen them try stuff like this. So that's good, because that's exactly what we wanted. Yeah, and there was one person in particular who just literally searched every little corner, which was nice. You're clearly very disappointed there was nothing there.
Yeah, well, you only have to give them one thing, So one thing, and then it was all worthwhile.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we will squirrel stuff away, definitely, once we understand the world a bit better. But yeah, it's reassuring that even the most, even really simple ones, there's like a corner like that would go. Yeah, actually, that one wasn't too popular as far as they go. That corner, most people get it out of their system by this point, but some people went up and sniffed around in there. Nothing there.
Yeah, I mean that was good. I mean, again, I want that one to be reasonably invisible. That's one that I'd like to be like, when players return when they have the new ability, they're like, okay, cool. I didn't even see this one. Like, I think some of them we need to definitely make like ridiculously obvious. It's nice to have those in Metroidvanias where it's clearly like, you'll come back here with a thing. They're nice too. Trying to find a good. I'm still trying to work out what is going on with this air control. Because I don't think it's all the time. I think it's just certain states just give you ridiculous amounts of. I mean, we have too much anyway, but that's always kind of been a thing. But I saw a couple of bits where you had just mental. I mean,
yes, there was one. It's a one that got fixed. That was jumping up slopes. So if you, how did I do it? You ran up the slope and you kind of double slid yourself while jumping. Like you did a double slide and a jump, you know, a naughty double slide and a jump. And then you would just go old Project Bug terminology, everyone, but you would go spooky hands.
Yes.
Spooky hands is a state where the player gets into the jump animation, but is on the floor and just kind of glides around on the floor with spooky little hands. But yeah, you would go spooky hands, and then you could just kind of glide up and down the slope as long as you want, and it became a game of Buckaroo with how long it was going to be before it realized you were doing this, and then just jumped you. Because there was a jump.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff in this area. I'll tell you another time when we should definitely go into it a bit deeper. Now we're a bit more like, you know, we've got a solid foundation to work on with the player controller stuff. But I think, like, I don't know if we need some quite, you know, base level, just like damping of the stick input, because a lot of the issues come from people, you know, wanging it around like crazy. Yeah. And actually, we don't need most of that input.
No.
So but some of it, I don't know where, you know, where the threshold lies. But some of it is that. But some of it definitely is there is too much air control. Like there's just a bit too much. It's kind of a bit crazy.
Well, another thing that happened because everything changed around the player controller is, well, I mean, we got the new player controller in with a week and a half.
Yeah.
Something like that, which was tight. And all of the jump physics was subtly different. And all of it still is subtly different. So we do need to go back over everything and reconfigure everything. But, I mean, there's just something a little bit strange with the new... I mean, it's altogether better than how it was before, but it's not quite as responsive as what we had. But I think half of that is being used to what we had, so...
Definitely, I've spotted this thing. Yeah, if you try and jump as it's doing the landing, it just ignores that input forever. I think I was talking to Rex about that today. So, yeah. But it's, yeah, you know, it's fine. As I said, the main thing is we've got a much stronger foundation to work from, but there's definitely some weird issues around that.
I mean, to be fair, when you were setting off for Lincoln to do this demo, you couldn't actually turn around in the air. So...
Yeah. Let me just see about this. What do we think? Let me just check that if I do it the way I know works, it doesn't break. What do we think was doing it?
I think if you press A, if you're too keen, and you press A in the intermediate frames with the reach.
Okay, let's try the trigger. I can't.
I think you might have to go into it.
Aha! Yes. It's okay. I think I know.
And it always does a glitch.
It's if you move the stick.
Try it on the other side just to see if it always does the animation glitch. I want to see if the animation glitch is always left or whether it flips with the player character. Oh no, it flips with the player character. Okay.
Anyway,
that was not what I thought it would do, but
without showing my pad input, it's kind of not super useful for those at home. But yeah, there's some stuff there. That's fine. At least I know what it is. Well, I have an idea what it is. That's obviously what this was so useful for, is being able to step through the input. So yeah, I agree. I think here, if that rock wasn't there, I mean, that, of course, I can't remember how it came about, but that was the original idea, that you could see it. You know, even with the occlusion, you'd be able to see where this rock is. But then I think we were concerned that people would jump off it, but I'm kind of less concerned about that. So, but we can have a think about that. I've also just noticed, and it's telling that no one asked about it there, by the way, that the you can't control the camera at all yourself.
You can't?
Nope, not even a little bit.
Whoops.
Yeah, right. But what's telling is no one asked about it. No one mentioned it, and I didn't notice immediately either. So I still think there will be times where we want it, but I don't think those times exist in what we presented as a demo.
Now I'm curious because I regressed that as working, and I'm curious on what build and on which build it fell off. But hey, doesn't matter because I didn't after I'd wanged the stick around and gone, yeah, that works. I never used it again.
Yeah, I mean, my suspicion is when we've got more involved stealth situations, I think it will have a use.
I don't know, because we've got. I think whatever setups we're going to do are going to fit very much so within a neat frame. So they're going to be. They're not going to be bigger than what we're framing there.
I don't mean this in the way that people normally say it, but I'm not sure. I'm literally not sure. I possibly. I certainly think the point of interest helped a lot more than even I thought it would. I knew they were very important, but it might get us the whole way. But yeah, I mean, because all I'm saying is we haven't even envisioned that, grand a stealth challenge. We've got some stuff going on, so maybe there will be things that will require it. But I definitely agree of what we're presenting here. If all of these point of interest were configured correctly, you wouldn't need them. And I can certainly say for the smaller scale stealth encounters we've got, at worst, you could just put a bunch of point of interest on each character who you cared about, and it would just kind of sort itself out.
Yeah,
which is really cool. So this is what I was talking about. So because the other point of interest disappeared, the camera's kind of repelling you, it's still aimed way up and right. So you kind of, this feels weird, but no, it's funny. It feels weird to me, but no one cared. Everyone just jumped down here and they were fine with it. So this doesn't have any impact yet, like we intend it to, but it works and people understood it. So that's half the battle. And a few people did have a look up here, so that's cool. But again, I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised that these had the exact intended purpose. They don't look like you could never get up there, but no one spent forever trying to, they tried maybe once to get up there and then they went, oh, okay, I can't do that.
People spend more time with something that should be less ambiguous, like an absolute, like that corner there. Yeah, I was
gonna say, people just, this shape, for some reason, people just...
They love it. Cats and boxes.
Yeah. What is that cat box thing? It's weird. Anyway, so actually, it's funny. Yeah, we should just talk about it. Oh no, let me off. I think I found another bug. I might be stuck. Try that again. Ah, well.
Yeah, let's poke the bear live. Let's do it.
Well, of course. That's what people are here for.
It's fine. You got away with it.
Yeah, that's really weird. Anyway, I wanted to mention this section because actually, to us, this felt like absolutely nothing. But I noticed more than one person did find this kind of tricky. But that's actually good because I don't know if it was intentional or not, because obviously this wasn't a bit I was involved with. But it does kind of help reinforce the way our jumps work.
Yeah.
Because if you try and use the wrong one, you just can't. I can't remember which order it is, but I saw someone trying to use the, in this situation, wrong jump, and it just goes nope. And then eventually they use the one we want them to. And
let go of the run button. You'll thank me eventually.
That is a lot of it. I'm just messing with this to see.
The sandfox shuddered at the memory.
Because I do wonder with this as well, if we can just make it, because you notice nearly everyone at the very start when they duck, they press it, and obviously it doesn't go all the way down, and then they have to press it again and hold it to actually crouch. And I'm wondering if we can just automate that, because it always feels weird. But anyway, this was fine. No one really had any trouble with this. The only thing here is that I'd just love to find a way to neaten this up, but I can't decide how. I hate that slide, where they're too high to mantle, so they slide down. It just looks really bad.
Well, I mean, there's a number of things with how the jump is configured. Like I said, we're going to be visiting that quite soon. I think this area generally, we can do more with it in terms of what the things that we need to tutorialize before you get to this point that we are now aware of.
Yes.
Like you were saying, bee cancelling.
Yeah.
Some place like this.
Sorry, I'm just
very useful.
I'm messing with this. I can see there's definitely a number of frames where it ignores your input where it didn't used to before. I don't know how it's changed, but it has changed, because even by the rhythm I'm used to, it's it's off. But anyway,
it threw me because it was ignoring it very particularly where I'd learned to press A about 50% of the time.
Yes. So it's definitely anyway, I should point out specifically for anyone watching. So the whole cancelling thing is like, if I can just slide down a wall like that forever, which again we don't specifically tell people. I'm not sure it's as obvious as we think, but also I can just press B and immediately just cancel the slide, which we realize that we don't use a lot, but sometimes it's just what you want. However, like actually enforcing that, like we do for all the other tutorial stuff, is quite tricky. I'm sure we'll find a way.
It's tricky enough to do it once, but to sequence together stuff that really makes sure you know this one, because it's quite a subtle one that we have to make sure people know. It's not just one time. Do you get it? Okay, you prepared, soldier. Off you go. Boop. Shame about those prompts falling off.
It is, and I still don't know which
so much time was wasted. Well, half of the decision was made by it's very early in the morning, and they're currently configured to tell you that it's X, even though we don't want it to be that. So it's just going to be that. In the case of Switch, it was just the art says X, so leave that as X. But we need to
have a think about it.
We do, because it's what's a context action, what do things like hide spots, because we can't have it. It used to be B, but it can't be B, because how about if you want to crouch in front of a hide spot? All that good stuff. We need to work that out.
I need to have a think about it. So another good thing to mention as well, which someone pointed out, which is completely fair enough, is like, if you don't, obviously this is the first other person you've ever seen. To us, obviously they look like the enemy character, because they are, but if you've never seen anyone else in the game, which you won't have done, how do you know this isn't just like some dude who's just out for a stroll in the sewers? An NPC character, which we have NPC characters. So I think it's probably a good point that I will discuss with the rest of the team. There's many ways how you could do it, but we need to have something that more strongly indicates that they're not good.
His stern gaze isn't enough.
I mean, it's a start, and people did mention that, but it is. It does.
It is definitely a start. But I think just a weapon would probably be enough. I think it's because he's the torch guy, and it makes sense for him to be the torch guy here, because we want to light a torch. But yeah,
I mean, there could be more than one guy.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. We could couple him with one of the.
And they can have a great conversation and be like, "Oh, I love being evil. Yeah, me too. It's great."
Me too. Yeah.
But anyway, the cool thing is, despite this not having the prompt and the timing for this not existing, because obviously he doesn't have the lighting animation, it's not quite fluid enough. Most people still kind of appreciated the concept, even though it's not perfect. So that's promising, because it had nearly half the stuff missing and people still figured it out. So that's cool. Again, I really enjoyed the fact that someone was like, "I've got to look in here. There'll be something in here." There's nothing in here.
No. It's never going to be anything in there.
And also, just because I remember it, is a lot of people were not super keen on the old slide turn. And again, it's one of these things that's so difficult when you're talking about player controller stuff, because I'm trying it now for myself, and it does feel a bit weird, but I think only part of that is literally the stopping for the animation. I think there's just, the exact time it does that and so on.
Well, it changed. Again, this is another one of the things in the controller that was just different when things got moved over. I always felt there was a little bit more actual sliding to it, because now it feels that it stops dead. Boop.
So there's definitely
I think it does. Also, one of the things that eases you into it is just the particle effects. Which we've lost now that we've moved the controller over.
So it's saying the turn needs to have an actual slide to it, like the old controller. Okay, so it's been a while for me. So you
stopped dead with this one. Yeah,
right.
I mean, this was noted very, very early on. It wasn't something high enough priority.
That's fair enough. All I can say is, hey, people noticed. So good. When we had it in before, it's worth it.
It confirms something that we've never tested, which is how do people feel about it stopping dead? This is weird and bad, and you should change it. Good, that's what we thought.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going to say it's good. I mean, in the same way that we learned something by the fact no one tried to move the camera and no one got annoyed by that. We have learned that people did get annoyed by that. I was trying to do this bounce thing to demonstrate that, but that's a bit, for the uninitiated, a bit hard for me to do. But yeah, it's still a bit bouncy, isn't it? Like if you come at stuff at the wrong angles.
Well, it used to. It's particularly bad with cave or broken stuff. But if you just need to, if you imagine the capsule being drawn around the player character, and you just get it so the round of the capsule is going to hit that corner good and proper. No, that's too square. Yeah, there you go.
I'm finding it.
Now you got it.
Oops.
Yeah, it never used to do that. Never used to do that. So I don't know why.
We never want that as a behavior, to be fair.
We had we had another thing that was, we've sort of swapped it, because there's another thing that doesn't happen anymore on the flip side of this, which is, you know, when you would just kind of hit something and stop dead because screw you, apparently. You would jump at something and you would hit it and you would just stop dead and fall straight down. That doesn't really happen anymore.
Right.
Nothing. Everything used to resolve to you hit your head straight down for you. That's where you're going. And now it's, well, there's angles to wherever where the capsules hit something, which in circumstances where you're jumping up into something like that is just punching you in the balls all day.
I'm so pleased that I bothered to move this along whichever way I moved it, because I saw at least one person do this and they would have fallen down all the way. And I was like, yes. I anticipated
That's exactly why I moved that.
Yeah, it's quite funny. Anyway, so not much happened in there, thankfully, because there's not a lot to happen. Now let's see. Of course, you know this isn't going to work. I might bit of min-max this.
Oh, it's the first time.
Yeah, but of course, again, that's because I know.
You see, now
I probably couldn't do it again, but I know how to.
What I was going to say to you was, you're taking the easy route, boy. But I'm going to tell you, it is possible to do without using that bit of rubble as a crutch. You can do it from ground level. Oh, look at that. Oh no.
Yeah, I can.
Have fun.
I don't want to, but sure.
But yeah, you can use that rubble and get it every time. Yeah, got to do something about that. But again, jumps are now subtly different. The tolerances for grabbing platforms. I mean, for some of these, there were ones we had to move. You'll be coming up on the famous one pretty soon. And very few people got this far.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not really near the majority of what we had here, but we sort of knew that. We knew we weren't gonna get people, and this is just a shame because we just need to shave a bit off something, and it's just what you shave off here. Do you lower that, and do you? I don't know.
We, I mean, okay. Look, again, this is just talking out loud. Maybe we can make so, because I can. Oh no, I'm gonna. Okay. To hell with this is the kind of thing where you just say crazy things. You wonder if you could make a switch that has a moving part attached to it. So imagine if you were stood on the edge and there's some like screen or part of it, right? And then when you pull it, literally this, it animates that. So it would literally look down onto the door. You could nearly foresee a thing that would do that, right? Like if that switch was on the edge and as you pulled it, something on it moved, and then that would just reveal. Oh, it's so close. You could nearly see how
this
that might
switch is
happen.
next to a hilarious occluding flap.
Yeah,
you pull
but
the switch and the flap drops down. It's like ta-da!
Video games have done worse.
Just
a thought.
Minimum viable flap I'm discussing here. I would hope to make it something more subtle and amazing than a wall flap, but
definitely. But I can just see here, like it's so close. Like, look, I would just look, boop, and you would see it.
Well, I think switch on the edge helps a lot there. Yeah, and we don't know whether we're looking through non-solid, so maybe you can get the little non-solid platform either side. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's also the idea of selectively controlling, what this thing obscures. I think it's so close there that rather than doing something horrible like completely breaking that system and just punching almost arbitrary holes out of it, something that just reveals this in the way that I can by taking literally one step seems a good place to start experimenting. Boop. Anyway, so no, hardly anyone got this far, so we can see what's there. But yeah, I mean, it's so close there that, rather than doing something horrible like completely breaking that system and just punching almost arbitrary holes out of it, something that just reveals this in the way that I can by taking literally one step seems a good place to start experimenting. Anyway, so hardly anyone got this far, so we can see what's there. again, this needed more work, and it never got it, so people didn't really see him coming, because he really needs like a, you know, an endless idle, then a tracty type noise or event, then he starts arriving. Instead, he just starts. So the fact that the few people that got here were killed by him wasn't a tremendous surprise. Because I should also point out, even though there is some audio in here, there isn't any audio to support these things, but also the people playing didn't have any audio, so you know, none of that was there. But that's okay, because to be honest, we had enough for people to look at. So you can't...
glow in the dark Hester there.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it. Let's just go back.
So yeah, this above your head right now is one of the things where if people go back and look at previous streams, they'll notice that this is different, where you just jumped up, because it did not work anymore. It just didn't work. You couldn't land it. You couldn't do anything, and nearly everything else did.
Yeah.
These work. They don't tell you what button to press.
I pressed the wrong button. No. Yes. Yeah, it's a start.
Yep.
Yeah, still need some looking at, but hey.
Ladders work now. Those were one of the main concerns, that you weren't going to get a build with these ladders. Those were one of the things where we were just going to kind of cut ladders, or just have only ladders that were normal ladders that you just stood on from the ground floor rather than jumped on from underneath, because you would jump at them from underneath and you would latch to an invisible ladder underneath the ladder you thought you were on, and then that ladder just became solid forever, and you would just jump at it, not be able to grab it. And then we had a thing where this ladder and the other ladder, one of them worked and the other one didn't. It's like,
awesome.
It's the same thing.
But this is a pretty space, so it's definitely gonna, you know, get used. Ignore me. I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm just looking at it.
So it was good in the way that was as far as people got, because we had to take a razor blade to a lot of this in terms of functionality, because the one of the things that shares the player controller is the AI, so they got their controllers messed around with, so the amount of AI we could get working again was limited, and what they could do. So the AI that was here walking over the non-solids couldn't actually walk over non-solids anymore. So I had to delete him. So he's not there. So it's very dry, this space now. It's very much about just the climby, jumpy gameplay. A tiny little bit of AI spice. Nice in there. And I think...
it's kind of a bit crazy here, isn't it?
I was going to say you're on a package build, but I was going, oh, Keith's put this back, but he hasn't, because it's packaged. But
you can't ruin everything, Keith.
I can't. No, can't turn back time.
Could you do that before when you're doing the running jump? Could you turn in midair?
No, you couldn't. That's new.
Right. Just checking, because no, is the verdict on that. It looks so strange.
Yeah, I think that may be an artifact of me demanding that you were able to turn midair in the standing jump. So subtle things that changed there, if you want to go back down, due to the player controller, just the jumps and everything subtly changing. Yeah, drop down to the previous. Yeah, notice how that one's a bit lower above your head. The ceiling above you is one tile lower, and everything else, everything the whole way up here has been terminating that one tile higher. Also notice the light is kind of slightly sunk into it. Yeah, that's because you just could not fucking do that. Nope. Nope. Nice. Wouldn't let you.
All right, cool.
And this whole setup, of course, we cut the pulse wings because we couldn't get those in time. So it just became a rather dry move through.
I'm still thinking about this. I'm gonna keep thinking about it. No, I kind of feel like
still teabagging those vents.
No, if you've got the stick in the direction and you just tap B, I think it should just go. All right.
Yeah, it should know what you want to do. I agree.
I also noticed that, but obviously way down the list of important things, I can't remember which way round it is, but the running crouch, it only works one way. Is it if you hold B first or?
Yeah, that's an old one.
Anyway, I know it doesn't matter.
I don't think these shimmy bars really work, did they? Nope.
Not interested. It's a cool looking space though. I mean, that's half the battle. Oops, I didn't press that button. That had obviously been cued from somewhere else.
Waiting, just waiting. Amazing. So I had to delete the other sand monster out of here because, again, we didn't have time to make vases capable of killing 2 of them.
Right.
So...
Sorry, Ed is asking. Auto crouch. I'm walking towards air vents. No, well, kind of. No, not literally. You're doing nothing and it just starts crouching. I just think if you tap B and you're already holding the direction, then it should just, in effect, hold B for a little bit longer. Because if you just tap it and you're pressing the direction, you just do that awkward thing where you kind of bump into it. And I see a lot of people do that at the start of the game. So I'm just thinking that, you know what, if you're holding the direction and you just tap the button at all, very good chance you want to go into that vent. So let's just don't trust doors. Don't trust doors.
That door's fine. I know him.
Oh wow. Fair enough. So no one got here. So you were saying though, Keith wasn't happy about this Zoom, which is fine. We can discuss it.
No. Well, he's getting pixel crawl.
Oh right.
And so are you actually. I can see it because it's not perfectly settling on the zoom in. I think he's happy with the zoom in all other respects.
Actually, maybe
and it's changing there when you get to the edges.
So it must have changed shape or size or something happened because it definitely didn't. But yeah, it's not. So that's why it's swimming, because it's not, set to a particular size.
And I find it kind of oppressive. I sort of think it's a shame not to be pulled out moving around this place. But I don't know. I could go either way on this.
Well, I mean, we just wanted to try it, and if that's what you think's happening, that's fine. Maybe we save that for character stuff. Because, for example, I think I know what you're saying, but in some ways, it's kind of cool swimming aside at the moment. Just get a closer look at this kind of stuff. It's quite nice.
Well, here was another thing that came up the other day. Was how do we feel about turning off fog of war in safe zones?
Yeah, no, I remember saying that. I think that'd be good. Ollie is asking, please explain what pixel crawl is. The pixels, they sort of shimmer and crawl. It's one of those things. It's like it's easy to see
once you know what it is, but you'll be able to see. You'll be able to see it quite plain. Oh, well, actually, I don't know because I'm looking at.
You're looking at it through a thing.
How does it look on stream? Oh, you can definitely see it on stream, particularly on the bars of those.
You can see them moving around like crazy.
Yeah,
actually,
you can see some of them. The one on the right does a great little.
Yeah, that's a great. So if I move and then let it settle a little bit, and then look at the bars just to the left of my character. Look at it, it's going crazy.
Look, there's definitely maths happening before your eyes.
Yeah, that's not good. And can be resolved. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the zoom in was just, hey, let's try doing something with the camera zoom because we can. Yeah, let's just try and make this safe zone look different. And if you feel it looks suppressive, I can totally understand that. And I definitely think we can turn the fog of war off. I think that's an obvious, cool thing. That makes sense, right? Because you're not. Okay, well, it makes game sense. It's like, hey, you're not meant to be hiding from anyone here, so that information isn't of use. You know what I mean? Like the fact you're not being denied anything interesting. So I think that we can definitely do. And then I think that will help a lot. But also, if we don't think the zoom's working or we wish to zoom the other way, I believe we can do that. Well, I know we technically can, but I don't know if that upsets art. Ooh. Or we can do nothing. I mean, it's just, hey. It would be
an interesting thing to try to pull out to try and show as much of this place as possible and have just one big central poi and move around it with a fixed perspective on it. That would be a neat thing to try. I'd like to see that because I think the game looks equally beautiful when you pull out and have the distant view of it. I mean, I spend all of my time on the big map.
Exactly.
And that whole map looks great. People won't get to see it when they play the game, but I mean,
wait, sorry, how embarrassing! I forgot. There's a map, isn't there? So it does the trademarked body painting, which is
you can see. Look where we've been,
which is cool.
All totally works. It does go to show though that you do forget about it when you can't talk to Hester and she goes, "Hey, there's a map." But it does this thing. But yeah, I mean, this works. That definitely works for me. It's great. Classic thing of, oh no, I'm going to have to go back there and body paint this by rubbing rubbing my game character up against the scenery and making sure it fills the map in. So those people going up into the corners, not so crazy after all, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting just looking at what it's done. It's doing a pretty good job. I think I seem to recall Ed wants it to visually work slightly differently, but at this stage, again, if we go back to what we had 6 weeks ago, which was nothing, it's pretty good.
Yep.
I mean, you could use this.
We are.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, it's all polished stuff. Like, you'd want some damping on all this movement and some probably effect, animation effect on the zoom levels or something. But it works. You can see where you are. And these are still placeholder, aren't they? That's fine. We can discuss those later. But does it remember where you are? It doesn't. But I'm not too upset about that. I'm sure I want that. But yeah, okay.
Switch, Chris.
Sorry?
Don't you dare close this thing off without flicking the lift switch.
That's a bottom, that's a pit, isn't it? It's a hole. It's funny, it all seems a bit flattened. Oh my god, I thought it was going to crash. It definitely hesitated. That's interesting. Problem for another day. So presumably at some point in a distant future with these things look like they gotta move. They look so cool. The giant cogs, I mean.
The giant cogs, yeah. I will tell Keith to get on animating those.
No,
and their normal maps. Animated normal maps coming in 2023. Siege and the Sandfox. Yeah. Hand painted, handcrafted, hand animated normal maps.
But
you can't have those, Chris. You can't have them.
But then I don't think those should be there then. I'm so disappointed if they don't. I'm just looking at it from a player perspective now. If I saw that and those don't move, I'm like, what?
Maybe we can find a way.
Like I said, I know it's a total dick move, but I'm just being honest as a player. If I saw that and I saw that switch and I pull that switch and those don't move, I'm disappointed.
So what you're telling me is brick it up because they're so cool that they're not cool enough.
Yep.
Because that's cool. That's cooler than a brick wall, but we're going to put a brick wall there because this is so cool. It's not cool enough.
There need to be something that doesn't look like they'd move when I pull this, because they just as soon as I saw them, I was like, cool. That will look so awesome when that moves. I'm saying we could put something else there, but
I don't disagree with that sentiment. Oh well.
Keith's just crying now. We can come up with a thing that we don't literally have to brick it up, but I think if that was there and it didn't move, I would just be quite disappointed. Sorry, I missed something. Ed said, I'm not quite sure we really need the close zoom. Gives you access to almost no information. Yeah, which is fair. I mean, the kind of thinking behind it was that because it's like a home space, it's going, you don't need it. Like, hey, chill out, it's fine. But I don't think that's actually how it feels,
exactly
which is fine.
The opposite of what the intention was. It's like, we pull the camera in because it's homely and safe now. And you go, I can't see anything around me. I don't feel very safe.
I don't feel very safe.
Yeah.
Fine.
So actually, safety. I really want to try out the just pull out, move to a central poi, and
we can do that. We can
like a classic old one-screen platformer. If we can get it in, it was like a one-screen platformer. I'd be. That would make me
cool.
happy.
Look, it looks so cool.
Oh, look, there's another lift.
Yeah, exactly. Mystery lift.
So the lift nobody got to. That worked in the end.
Yeah. And look at that guy. He's still there. Still like, man, I hope those guys are coming back.
They must pay really well.
That's cool, though. I mean, definitely he could be doing something else, and I think that's a nice continuation. You remember seeing him leave the other way. Yeah, I think that could be fun. And of course, hey, maybe if we have like, takedowns and stuff, you're already above him.
Yep.
Anyway, that's totally for another day. But this is super cool. So yeah, I mean, I think we can start to finish it up there. But I think we got a lot of stuff that we wanted. And to be honest, the bit we really wanted people to test, they did. The start section. And even though we came in quite hot with the player controller, actually it was good to have some of our assumptions tested there, because as I said, like for example, the camera, no one complained about it. So the fact it's missing stuff that we've always just gone, well, you have to have that. Now we've got a good position to be like, well, maybe actually we don't. Or certainly it is considerably less important than it was in the past. And yeah, it just reinforces like a lot of the decisions we've taken with the old controller in terms of how it was presented to the player. I think was correct. But yeah, we can just start redoing that. So yeah, I think that's everything. Let me escape this game because I'm so used to running an editor, it's confusing. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah, there's anything else that I have forgotten?
Nope.
Okay. In which case, thank you very much for joining us. So that's the end of this series. Obviously, we've finished with this playtest build now. I'm very much hoping we should be able to continue doing these though.
Oh, there'll be more builds.
There'll be more. Exactly, there'll be more builds, and need to work out a few details. But to be honest, like I think we can just continue doing this because this has given us a great start to continue doing playtesting, continue doing builds like this, and also obviously I can spend some time now talking about the actual process we use to capture and run those. Because I realised I haven't spoken about that much, and I also realised that a lot of people don't value it as much as I think they should, or kind of know how easy it is to get going. But I think that will do for now. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.